The smell of new Microtech. Actually, you know what a new Microtech smells like? Like this, the last dollar in your pocket. Anyway, let's see what we got in this sexy box. Golden sticker, regular production knife. Paraphernalia, and there she is. Okay, I'm not a professional unboxer. I'm sure somebody else will do a much better job. So if you're here for a box discussion, this is not the time. Because here, I got it. A very early drop of production, not a custom, not a signature. It's just their basic production model of the new Ram-Lok equipped SOCOM Elite. And yes, they still call it the Elite, no change there, but the knife is quite different from the original Microtech SOCOM Elite. We'll go over the details of what changed through the course of the video, but for now I'm doing the size comparisons. So here's the amphibious, here's the stitch, here's LUDT. Did I say it correctly? LUD, I heard people say. Okay, somebody asked me to show them horizontally. I'm worried about the camera distortion in this orientation. So you guys let me know in the comments which way you prefer. Now let's get into some competition. Here's Manix XL and Manix 2. So here is the full-size Adamas. And we're going to go with a mini Adamas. Here's Strider SMF, and yes, you can get your Strider to do this if you work on it and watch my videos on how to do it. And this is an S&G. And finally, going back to the Microtech realm, here's your MSI Ramlock and your mini MSI. So brings us to the comparisons and discoveries section. This lock is the full-size MSI lock. This is the mini MSI lock, and this is also a mini MSI lock. What else changed? All right, see how this has a thumb stud that also serves as a stop pin? This guy looks like it might, but in reality, this here is not touching. It gets very, very close, but Ramlock and this stop pin here serves the stopping function. If you don't believe me, let me illustrate. How do I do it on camera? See, I can slide a $20 bill in between. That means there's at least 0.02 of an inch space between the studs and the aluminum frame. Can you do the front flip? That almost suggests that you could, but personally I can't. Thumb stud is pretty much your only method of deployment other than just pulling back on the Ramlock and letting it swing out. And I am super stoked to report that not only did they retain the glass breaker on this model, I think it disappeared off of the signature and custom series knives, but here it is. And just to do us a solid, the base metal is blue anodized. Isn't that cool? Let us get some measurements. Blade length measured from the handle is 3 15/16 of an inch, or almost exactly, just a hair over 100 millimeters. Useful cutting edge is almost exactly 3.5 inches. And for our metric brothers, 89 millimeters. Overall length remains close to the original at 9 1/8. Yeah, 9 1/8, or 233 millimeters. 233. Oh, cool. Just notice what also changed. Where's the original? No more billboarding. This is almost gone. They actually had to tame their own ego. You know who I'm talking about. and put Bowler M390 MK and Made in USA on this side, and just a cool little high-resolution laser-etched logo. And I'm gladly noticing that they retained the dating schema here on the clip. This one is dated 12/20/25. You might be wondering, how did CBRX get his grabby paws on the first production batch of these bad boys? I'll tell you how. And believe me, I'm not affiliated with this company in any way. I get the exact same deal from them as you would get. And even though I'm going to throw their website link into the description, they will not know that you came. It's not an affiliate link. You click on it, they have no idea you came from my video. But I feel like they deserve recognition for being able, I don't know how they do it. Somehow they're able to like teleport these knives straight from the production press. You know what I mean? Here's the scale, and I'm not going to bore you too much with that because you can probably read numbers. Here it is, 126 grams. And how does it? Don't worry, I'll do ounces in a second. This guy's 151 grams. So should be almost an ounce, a little less than an ounce more. Let's check this theory. 5.3 ounces. We're going to say this one is 4.4. So 0.9 ounces, almost an ounce lighter. Which brings me to the next topic. In their infinite wisdom, geniuses at Microtech figured out that they're missing out on EDC enthusiasts as opposed to tactical ninjas. So they decided to water down the tacticalness of this knife, which, by the way, has been used by certain units in the military. It was not government issue, but some units were able to procure them and carry. So they watered it down a little bit. They made it less tactical, more EDC friendly, and they did it in several different ways. Let me go through them one by one. The most obvious change is the blade is now thinner. We're getting 1 1/8 almost exactly, so right around 3 millimeters. And the previous blade was a little thicker, about 3.5, 4 millimeters. Let me do it in millimeters, actually. Oh, 4.88, 4.7, almost 5 millimeters, and just a little over 3 millimeters, which is cool. The handle here also got narrower in this direction. We got 13.9 millimeters. And 12.4 millimeters, so quite a decrease here, significant enough to be noticeable. And let's do inches. So it's under half an inch, and this one should be just over half an inch, 550 thousandths thick. The outline, the profile is the same. The jimping changed a little bit comparing to the original model. Because they lost this jimping here on the lock bar, they added a little bit to the jimping on the scales. They also extended the spacer, probably because, oh, I see, they removed this extra milling, so they simplified the production a little bit. I have a feeling that the key reason, not that I don't think that Tony did it just for your convenience, but I am also thinking maybe having the same components from model to model helps him out to minimize his production costs while keeping the price the same, as in keeping more of your money in his pocket. Well, some people say the proof is in the pudding. What we got here? Yep, we're basically nearly the same thickness here. Hope you can see that. And the spacing here is the same as Mini MSI, I'm willing to bet. Exactly the same. Is the blade thickness then the same? 125 thou. All right, so this is, guys, what they did. They had to move this mechanism from Mini MSI to the brain fart to SOCOM Elite, and the thickness had to go. But in the process, they made a slicer knife. It's going to be more slicey than this knife because look at the difference in the primary grind bevel here. So same thickness, wider bevel means smaller angle. So let's say this is a 5 degree per side angle and this is probably 3.5 degree per side angle. That does make difference when you're cutting something that's kind of hard to, like tough stuff like cheese or cardboard. Cardboard and cheese. Is this a clip point, or I'm gonna say yes, that's a straight clip point. Man, I almost wish they had an option with this blade shape for the MSIs. Not to give Tony any marketing ideas. What I also absolutely respect is the fact that they sacrifice some of the cutting edge in order to give you a fully functional finger choil here. Because in the original versions, if you jammed your finger here, you were risking cutting through your tactical glove. Let me see on the slightly different model. This is their Zombie Tech. See, the Zombie Tech had the same triangular choil here, which makes it more of a sharpening choil than a finger placement location. Yeah, cool. I want this like that. Yeah, okay. Enough of this foolery. How does she feel comparing to the production, say, MSI? I think they're actually competing with themselves in this sort of market territory. Very snappy here. That was my... I still need a little wrist. That's straight out of the box. Probably wear a little in. I'm gonna say, yeah, maybe 20% snappier. Totally objective scientific statement here. It's snappier, but I wouldn't call it like a, you know, a snap demon. I know what everyone is waiting for is the hardness test. To remind everyone, the early production, this is August of 2023, and I measured it several times and it always came to, I even scribbled it here with a diamond tip. It came to 60.7. Actually, it was like 60.3 to 60.9 using both leap tester and my standard Rockwell tester. So I've been stating in several videos that seemingly they raised the hardness by a whole point. They moved their average up by a whole point, and I'm about to find out if it still holds true here for this knife. Okay, so you need to unscrew it from the show side using T15 bit. Unfortunately, Hoto doesn't include this bit. I had to borrow it from another set. But if you're planning to buy and maintain a Microtech MSI style knife, I'm sorry, Ramlock style knife, I should say, you're gonna need a T15 tip. They're available on even like bicycle tool sets and whatnot. So let's do this here. Let's see if I can easily push it out. Yep, that went right in. And now we're gonna extract the blade. I like that they use, are they ceramic? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, they're ceramic ball bearings. Sorry about the light. I carry this iMini, and now they call it iUltra, on my neck every day. And it's a handy dandy magnet check, not just a flashlight. And you know what, if I'm gonna link it, you know, maybe get paid a few dollars in commissions if you guys click on the link. They up the antics here on this little guy. Now it's USB-C rechargeable and looks a little cooler. I think they might be using AOL or their own proprietary aluminum, but I'm not sure. And I like they made it, gave it a little bit of a masculine feel with this kind of checkering here and polygon at the top as compared to the previous iMinis. So it's iUltra, and I'll link it in the description. Check them out. Truly carrying it every day on my neck. And another reason I carry it, because if I'm working on something like this, let me hang it back. I can actually place it in a magnet base like this. You can see it. And then it just free hangs on my neck. And it lights up whatever I'm working on. See? Very convenient. So highly recommend. Check out the links and help me out to keep up with the production. All right, do we have enough room to test? Yeah, absolutely. By the way, they're multi-row bearings. And because they're nylon bound, they're practically corrosion free, being ceramic. I don't like brass bearings because they can cause galvanic corrosion if you live in a humid area. What we got here, almost no rounding off at the tip. The secondary bevel is nice and flat and consistent width throughout the blade. The apex line is almost invisible, meaning there's no burr left. They really did a good job honing and stropping this blade. This is definitely 9 to 10 out of 10 score here for sharpening. I'm using a little microscope, very inexpensive one I found on Amazon, and you can find it in the video description. It plugs into your phone using a USB-C plug, and then you can see what your edge looks like when you're sharpening, or just look at new knives. Here we go. I'm all set up for the hardness test, but before I start, I have to get a few administrative things out of the way. This is my NIST independently certified calibrated calibration block. It's rated at 62 HRC, and I use it before every video segment to make sure that everybody understands that I take good care of my device and it stays calibrated. The video is accelerated 2x because it's a somewhat lengthy process. I get 61.8 HRC, which is well within the allowed deviation. I'm allowed to be off by half an HRC point. I'm very close to perfection here. So I'm going to put the blade in and test it. So the video is accelerated 2x to save you some time. We are looking at M390 MK steel by Bowler Corporation, basically a derivative of M390. We got 61.8 HRC on the first poke, and to some of you that may sound moderate, but let me assure you that this is a very sweet spot for M390 steel. So this is good news because in the past Microtech heat treated their M390 between 59 and 61 HRC, which is kind of anemic. 61.8 again on the second poke. All right, where was I on the steel? Yeah, so M390 has two different heat treat cycles that a manufacturer can choose. And to get it over 62 or even sometimes over 63, one has to spend a ton of money and buy a lot of equipment. 62.2, we jumped up a little bit. We're still within calibration, we're good. So my average is 61.9 HRC, which tells me they're probably shooting for 62 plus or minus a half HRC, but some blades could be as high as 63 and some others potentially will be as low as 61. Good range for M390, and I just redid the calibration, got 61.9 on the block, so we're solid here. So I paid the retail price for this knife at American Edge, $322. And for comparison, here's the MSI in the same finish, and it's $22 cheaper, probably because it doesn't have the glass breaker. Everything else being the same, the price is basically the same.